All right. So Chris is being weird. He just keeps going, okay. I don't really understand it. I'm angry.
It's a South Park thing. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, now that's different.
It's easy,
can't-
okay.
You can't bring South
You're going to
Park
want to
into it.
record that and work on it a little bit if you want people to get it without explaining.
Goodness. It just shows how my sense of humor has changed so much. I was absolutely obsessed with South Park. I was obsessed with the movie, the South Park movie. My God, you know, shut your silly face, Uncle, Mother, that one, which was just incredible. I don't think I'm going to get a takedown from that because I'm tuneless. In fact, that's been one of the biggest insults I've ever had, Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hey.
Is that I can't get our videos taken down by singing something. It's like, why isn't the copyright thing pinging and going, oh my God, that's exactly that song?
I'm pretty sure because of how it actually looks for the music. It looks for like the music, not just a person singing. It doesn't recognize the lyrics you sing. It looks for a pattern that comes from the record that matches exactly.
So what you're saying is I'm not producing the sounds of the record, which to me is devastating.
Well, you might be producing the vocal sounds, but you would need the drums and the guitars and all the other bits in the right key.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't match.
Well, I'm not going to bore Bruce and Robert and who else is in there? EJ and Phil. I'm not going to bore them with this story, but I am a frustrated singer, you know. I'm a frustrated singer. Don't worry, you're not meant to see our faces yet. Why are you laughing at that?
No, I have this image in my head of you in a turtleneck and leather jacket with sort of like what I've got going on with the fringe where it starts to come over your eyes a bit, and you every now and again you kind of shake your head to get it out of the way, going.
I had to put your video on just for you doing that because I felt.
Okay,
like
hold on. So it's like, but this bit longer, and you go.
Okay, that works in video. Yeah, I kind of had that. Like, there is a part of me in my head that was like, I was destined to be a singer. I was destined to like do, which is stupid because I can't sing.
Incredible, because you have no talent in that area at all.
Not only that, but I've married a singer. So like, what used to happen was, like, I have these songs that I would sing in the shower. That was my favorite place to sing, in the shower and the car. So I'm singing in the shower. I'm singing in the car. I'm belting it out. In my head, I am nailing it, Chris. I'm nailing it.
No, I know, it's so relatable.
But
in your head, it's like the Apollo.
And then when I do it, wife hears it and she's like, yeah, you can't sing like every idiot who's not a professional singer. And then, but this to make it worse, nail in the coffin, she will then be inspired by my song choices. Like the You and Me song. Always when we fight, I kiss you once or twice. And I'm nailing that in the shower. And then her and her duet partner, for like wedding gigs and bar gigs and stuff, she would add that to her song list. And I'd go and watch, go and have a pint while they're doing it. And you go, wow, that's like actually good. Obviously, I'd hear her rehearse. And then if I sing that song, she'll start harmonizing to it as like an experiment. So she either sings it better than I ever could or harmonizes with it.
I would love to see the specific moment she told you for the first time you can't sing.
No.
It's shattering moment.
It's worse. It's worse. She says everyone can sing. She's so patronizing.
They can't. She's wrong.
That. She's like, oh, everyone can sing. No, she's wrong. And even in her classes where I've had to do like the tech stuff for her online, and she's going, oh, they're all such good singers. No, they're not. All right, let's do some good doom scrolling, guys.
It's like when you go and see like your 8-year-old's school play.
Never good. Okay, right. Let's do. We've got. Oh, I've forgotten how the bumper goes. So there's no way I'm gonna be able to match what I'm saying to the bumper. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. Here you go. Got a treat for you on the live stream here, by the way. New graphic from Uncle Steve. You are listening to Doomscrolling. Get off your phone. Hi everyone and welcome to Doomscrolling. It's the confessional where we share what has kept us glued to our phones in a state of inescapable curiosity and anger. But it's also a chance to catch up with my podcast and radio friends and find out what's happening in their world as well. I'm your host, Richard Spanners Ready. Today we're going to talk about the macro and the micro. I try not to overthink it. I try not to overthink what we're going to talk about because there was a point about 2 years ago where I suddenly got thrown in to doing some substitute radio shows. And you don't want the substitute radio DJ. No one wants that. They tune in to listen to whoever, Jeff Smiley. Oh, yeah, I'm going to tune into to Colchester FM to listen to Jeff Smiley. And then, Jeff's on holiday today. It's me, Richard. It's me, Spanners. I'm going to entertain you now, and everyone turns off. But when you get thrown into that situation, you don't always have a lot of time to plan. And you think back, you think, oh my goodness, all right, I'm going in there, I'm going to play a tune, I'm going to tell a story, that's okay. Then you get an hour, 2 hours into a radio show, and the music runs out. And you go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And this is where a lot of DJs will resort to, do you call it scone or scone? The most discussed, debated radio topic on earth. Should you put jam on top of the crumpet first, or should you put butter, whatever, cream, whatever it is people do? And there's that panic moment where people just stall in front of the radio, which is why when I got into that situation, I decided I would not overthink it. I would simply overshare and then be judged on the weight of being a terrible person down the line. And someone else who doesn't mind being a terrible person is Matt Trumpets. But Matt, we've said so many things here in this shed on this conversation. Something's going to get dragged up.
Well, of course. I mean, but I love the scone, jam.
It's
butter
horrible.
thing. That's like the equivalent of like clickbait.
Yeah.
In the online world.
Yeah, and every radio DJ presenter out there at some point says, is it just me? Is it just me? Or like, does the key sometimes not quite go in the door? And people go straight to the mundane, which is what I think we should do now. But the idea is, don't overthink it. Don't worry too much about the content. Be a conversationalist. And that's why I love having you guys on, because I am genuinely catching up with you after a week of F1, and I'm also genuinely catching up with Chris Stevens. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Spanners. On a similar topic, do you sometimes plug in a USB stick and it doesn't go in the right way? God dang it. What? And then you turn up, so it still won't go in. Oh, you turn it back around the way it was, and then it was right the first time.
But then the third time, you get it. Yeah. And I would love to sit here and mock all of those radio tropes, but I think I've definitely done all of them. But still, I'll be sitting there waiting for my show to start, and then the presenter beforehand has started a great debate about tea, and tea, milk, or that's the one, isn't it? Milk or water in first. People love doing that, don't they? So instead, what I like to do is get deeply personal, overshare, and ask people about their personal lives. But before we talk about your personal life, what I'd like to do first is expose my children's personal life. But I've had to get to the point, Matt, where I've had to ask their permission to tell stories. So with the Vivi story, I had to ask her, do you mind me telling people about having to tell your friend that you want to just be friends after he said that he loved her? And it struck me, she's 9. I should probably ask.
Yeah, no, it's good to ask. Hilariously, for a moment, I thought you meant like at the dinner table. Like, Dad's not allowed to tell stories at the dinner table unless we grant him permission.
No.
One too many.
No. It's definitely a case of is this media worthy? And they're doing the calculation in their heads. Like, which show is it, Dad? What are the chances that someone we know is going to listen? Because I had talked about my neighbour's fence. He had let his fence dangle into my garden. So 30 degrees, it's been dangling into my garden. And I started talking about this on my gardening show on BBC Local Radio without a thought that maybe my neighbour knows that I am a host of a gardening show and might occasionally tune in. So he hears me talk about this, and then he sends me a message and says, do you know what, Richard? Yes, that is probably a little bit annoying. I'll go and get that fixed. And I went, oh my God, facepalm. So embarrassing. I never think that there will be consequences to these conversations.
Yeah, and especially in like a sort of a closed bubble when you're recording, you
Yeah.
just forget that like anyone might hear what you are about to say.
Yeah, and I always talk about the podcast and radio bubble where we're safe, but we're not safe from consequences. So for this thing that I wanted to talk about first, I haven't specifically asked my son's permission.
Yeah.
You're making a hand gesture that I don't recognize.
That was my sword fighting gesture.
Oh, okay. Why? Oh, because of the jewel story. No, I will get to the dueling story in a moment. Don't you
Okay.
worry. I wanted to talk about my boy and his Rubik's Cube. He lost his Rubik's Cube at school today.
Oh dear.
And do you remember I told you a story how my son wasted £2 by going on a fairground ride? He paid for the fairground ride. It was like a spooky House of Horrors. And I said,
Right.
Are you sure? Because there was a big sign saying no refunds. And then he went to go on it, paid his £2, got to the door. There's like a ghoul that goes, "Whoa," and he ran away. And I got really, really upset because when we were kids, we would go to a fairground and we would maybe have enough money for like one, maybe two things. And that would be
Yeah.
your lot. And I'm like, you obviously, like, we could afford to do more than one thing. But I was like, you wasted the one thing, you idiot. And I got in a big row with him. And he's like 6. And I felt really bad. I'm like, no, I'm taking out my childhood on him. But he's lost the Rubik's Cube, Matt. And that is $8.99.
Yeah, wait till he loses his cell phone. That's all I gotta say.
I know, that's coming. So he's lost the Rubik's Cube, but the big thing here, Chris, is that he gave it to his friend to play with. His friend then said, oh, I did give it back to you. I put it on the ground next to your bag, and now it's gone.
Oh, well, that's just a poor excuse from the friend, really,
It is.
isn't it? Was it a complete Rubik's Cube? Had he solved it?
Wait a minute. Are you saying there's a different value to a solved and unsolved Rubik's Cube?
100%.
No, it was
I would
unsolved.
I would be so much more upset if I had solved the Rubik's Cube and then couldn't proudly display it on a shelf or something to say, yes, I'm smart enough to have solved this Rubik's. I know when you buy them, they're technically solved already. And I could have just bought one and put it on my shelf. But, you know, I feel like there's an element of trust that has to come in when you start displaying stuff like that on your shelf.
Maybe it's just because I'm a New Yorker, but when you say proudly displaying it to people, look, I've solved it. The only thing I think in my head is snatching it out of your hands, giving it a couple of twists and saying, yeah, but could you do it again?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well, thing is, my boy can do it again. He can solve a Rubik's Cube in 1 minute 40. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
actually like genuinely impressive. That's CV material.
So you mix it up for him, and then you give it to him, and 1 minute 40 is the quickest he's done it in. And someone at school brought in a Rubik's Cube, and he did it. He doesn't think anything of it, and they ended up like bringing in a crowd of people. Like, look, watch what the freaky nerd can do. So I was curious, and I said to him, is this something that is like because you're clever, or is it something like you can just learn a technique? And he went, oh no. He says it's not clever. You just need to apply the correct algorithms. And I'm like, boy, I think you know I don't know what that means.
Can I just clarify, when you say he did it in 1 minute 40,
Yeah.
it was more than like 2 turns?
No, it was fully
Yeah, it was-
messed up. Yeah.
It was just like 90% done, and you just rotated one thing of it, and
No.
that takes 1 minute 40. Because that's what it's like with me.
But in his head, when he says, no, you just apply the algorithms, which is just like a pattern or a code or whatever, to him, that's like, well, yeah, that's simple. Of course, you just apply the algorithms. But to people like you, Matt, you know, creative, wonderful types like you and I mean, your job is blowing through a bent pipe with 3 buttons. But when those weird nerds say, just apply the algorithm, I don't know, I'm impressed. To me, it feels like a clever thing. To him, he doesn't feel like it's clever.
Yeah, well, I get that. I mean, my daughter, honestly, if we're talking about this, felt the same way about math, even though she has done various levels of good in math throughout her whole academic career. Her general thing is I recognize the type of problem and then I apply the solution I've memorized for that problem, not like I figure it out from scratch.
I had a recent similar scenario when somebody, a colleague, was just casually juggling. And I said, oh, that's
Yeah.
really impressive. And he goes, it's not that impressive. It's just something 50% of the world's population can do. I'm like, 50%?
I don't
Get
think
out.
it is. So that's interesting. Juggling, I can do. Because juggling to me it's just hand-eye coordination. And I've tried to teach a lot of people to juggle. I've never been able to. I'm just like, well, you simply throw it to one corner in a vector that will make it land in the hand and just make sure that hand is empty by the time it drops. But
Vector.
like direction.
Speed
Oh,
and direction
you
at the
could've-
same time.
Dude, you could have just said
The
direct.
pace and direction to drop. The thing that confuses people is it's 3 balls and you've only got 2 hands. So you've got
Well,
to
yeah.
allocate those resources. Yeah, so to me, juggling is a very easy therapeutic thing.
It's like driving a car. You have 3 pedals and only 2 feet. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's a nightmare, isn't it? Don't worry.
Yeah.
Your car adventures are coming up soon. Don't you
Oh, good.
worry about that. But the main thrust of why I was talking about the story with the lad was I said to him, did you see him put the Rubik's Cube down after he'd finished it? And he said, well, no. But he said he left it down next to the bag. I'm like, oh, you are such a nice boy. It's like you trust, and this is one of his best friends. I was like, you trust him so much. I said, I've caught this lad. He's just, it's not that he's bad, not at all. But he's more than happy to create a narrative that gets him out of trouble, a narrative that suits him. And I said, you can't just trust your friend. You have to say, oh, okay, I'll give you the thing, but you have to put it in my hand. This is an expensive lesson you've just learned, but do that. And then he's like, no, he was defending his friend. Mum comes back in from the shed from work, and we say the story, and she's like, oh yeah, that kid. No, he's genuinely stolen stuff. He's probably got it in his bag, and then has messaged the mum to say, because the mum's like, oh no, I know he's done this before. So, can you go and check in the bag and done that thing? And the boy's really upset, but it's a big lesson for an 11-year-old to kind of go, no, not everyone's nice. Everyone's got their own motivations. And for that kid, having the thing, so he found it, he got the thing, he borrowed the thing, and he's like, the Rubik's Cube, this is fun, I want to solve it. The compulsion to just have it and put it in his bag just overrid not wanting to make his friend feel sad that he'd lost his Rubik's Cube. And that's a very common thing at sort of 11 and something the boy has to learn.
Yeah, it's. I remember my daughter going through a similar thing, although it was social and not stolen property. But yeah, she lost about a whole year of her middle school being friends with the wrong person. And,
yeah.
You try. You're like, I'm not always getting the greatest vibes, but once they make those choices, then, yeah, it hurts sometimes.
Oh no. When I first got to secondary school, so I guess that's 12. All right, for 2 weeks, I accidentally made friends with the kids who would turn out to just be the lamest losers in the school. I think they even got an award for it. And I identified it like a week in. And I thought, oh no, I'm stuck. This is my whole social life. And I gently extracted my way away from them and then became, the popular Goliath that I would end up being at school. But Matt, we're doing this podcast because we like an argument sometimes. We are drawn to things that upset us on the internet. We are drawn to things, I think, subconsciously, people are drawn to things that will upset them. They wake up in the morning and they search for the topic on Twitter or whatever, or Reddit, that is going to fire them up. And sometimes people are just looking for a fight.
Yes, it's life fuel.
Life fuel, man.
But this one, my wife happily shared with me from Twitter. I forget the man's name, but I once read an account of a 17th century Neapolitan nobleman. Now, get this, fought more than 20 duels, killed 14 people over the incredibly important matter of who was a greater Italian poet, Dante or Ariosto, which seems like worth killing at least 14 people over, if you ask me.
Yes.
But my favorite part of the whole story is that on his deathbed, seeking salvation, he actually admitted he'd never read either poet.
It's like Verstappen and Hamilton fans, isn't it?
Yes.
These people have no chill. I mean, they need a bit more zen in their lives. Imagine getting in such an argument that you're ready to kill someone over it. Like, I imagine, Spanners, you and I have an argument on Missed Apex, and then we don't settle it, and then it's like, right, I demand satisfaction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I demand satisfaction.
What would be your second?
I'm not bringing Matt in as my second, because Matt has spent the last 7 years disagreeing with everything I've ever said.
it'd be really expensive as well.
Yeah.
Like, imagine we have to wait a week for him to come over here just to
Yeah,
have the duel.
exactly.
You know,
Okay, my second would be. Well, I don't really want a second, so I'll pick my son because he'll be easily distracted and he'll just bug off. But what weapons are we using for this duel, Chris?
oh, this is a really good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have like a flintlock pistol just lying around.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, well, hang on.
I,
If Matt's involved in the duel, we definitely don't want guns. So in this show, we are not afraid to get political. I agree with Matt about a lot of political things. We had a very bizarre conversation on WhatsApp. Well, and it does happen. We were just talking past each other because I was saying to you, oh, the thing about America that I find weird is gun ownership. And you said, oh, there's not so many guns. It's not such a big thing. And I was like, yeah, but it feels like, I would have to get a gun because people are wandering around having a gun. But the key stat, which you used, which we disagree, you said 33% of people in America as an individual, own a gun. But you were saying only 33%. You were like, only 33%. And I'm like, oh my God, 33%. And you just kept going, yeah, only 33%. I thought it would be higher. So it was alarming to me, but quite placating for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you live here and you see it on a daily basis, but so much of it just comes down to where you live anyway. But my point really was that most of the guns are actually bought by like 1 or 2% of gun owners, and they'll own like hundreds and hundreds of them.
Right. Okay.
So the number of guns sold can be a misleading statistic. What you want to do is go look at, see the total number of people who own them. And yeah, 30, that means for every 10 people you meet,
7
only
don't.
three will own a gun. But again, you got to look at it geographically as well. If you're in New York City, that number is going to be very, very different.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And in New York, it's much lower. But Chris, for me, I'm looking at it going, oh my God, 1 in 3 people own a gun. That's not even people who could like go to the kitchen and get a gun. That's people who own the gun. So if I own a gun, my wife can still go and get that gun. And I think, Matt, you said the figure was about 50%. But
no.
Come on, Chris.
No, your wife can't go and get the gun because your wife's not supposed to know where the gun is.
Oh, I'm hiding
Because the
gun.
inspector man comes over and makes sure you keep your gun in a safe location that nobody else in the house knows where it is. Where in
UK,
America, I don't
yeah.
think you have those rules.
Yeah, so in the UK, the statistics are skewed, Max. I know you looked up the UK ones, but like if you were part of a sports rifle club, it would either have to be locked away at the club or you would have to have a special license and it has to be locked away and that kind of stuff. It's not like, oh, I can just put a gun in a drawer.
No, I understand what you're saying. And actually, many states do have laws about safely storing your guns in safes or lockers and unloaded. Now, whether people follow those laws, whether they're enforced,
Yeah, same
that's
here, obviously, yeah.
that's a different kind of beast, as they say.
So I went shooting with my uncle, not like outdoors, like at a
A range. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't like clay pigeon shooting. All right, he's not that middle class. Because my dad and his brothers, they all did pistol shooting when they were like my age, which suddenly makes me realize how lame my social life is by comparison. But so I went with my uncle one day, and he sort of gave me the safety briefing.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're handling guns
Yeah.
here. Okay, more people die fishing in a year than with guns because people aren't paying attention to health and safety.
Yeah. Yeah, no, health and safety is a massive thing. So like you as a kid, I did do a little bit, not as much as I'd want, of 2.2 sports rifle bore shooting. My dad was actually a county under-16s champion, so he took me a couple of times, but I was too small when we did it. I was so small that I couldn't fit into any of the suits, and they had to like you have these straps that like put you in a position to shoot the thing, and they had to like wrap it around me so many times that I looked like the mummy.
I don't remember that.
Oh, do you know? There's all different types of shooting.
Well, no, because I did the 2.2 as well, laying down.
Yeah. Well, you're bigger than me, so
That is true. Yes, physically, yes.
yeah, but it's all very controlled. So when I was obviously in the military, firearms were a bigger feature. There are a lot of idiots when it comes to firearms, a lot of people who are very casual. The amount of times that someone on a range randomly turned around with a loaded, ready weapon is alarming. Like the amount of because they would always shout at you, make sure once you can have the magazine in there. Once you make ready, i.e., pull back the cocking handle and put a round into the chamber. At that point, always point down the range. Always point down the range. The amount of times people would like turn around like an idiot, and then everyone else would like drop to the ground because they don't want to be that statistic that gets like just shot by their mate was incredible. It was loads. So yeah, not everyone has that same kind of safety aspect in mind.
I was really hoping you were going to go on to say, but fortunately, none of these people made it into the army.
No, right. So there was this one fella. I didn't mean to tell this story. There's one fella that we will call Dave Brown because that was his name. He's the biggest idiot I ever met in the army. This is the kid. I've told you the story before. This is the kid who, when we went to get all our shots for like Optelic and stuff like that, basically everyone got shot up with these vaccinations, whether or not you were going or not. He went in for one load, and then he just didn't know where he was going, so he joined the queue again and got a second batch of that, and ended up spending like a week in hospital. But it was hilarious because he was the kind of guy that would do that kind of thing. So we were on a live fire exercise, and you're meant to take your magazine off. Obviously, there's one round still left in the chamber. So you cock the handle, the round comes out. Yeah, you pick up that round, you put it back in your magazine, and then you look in the weapon, you check that it's clear, and then you clean it. That's part of like the exercise. This lad, he not only had left his rifle on automatic, but then he left the magazine in, cocked it, took didn't take the magazine out, then went to release the firing mechanism so he could look down the handle. Of course, there was a round in the chamber, the gas parts are working, and there's a magazine, and it's on automatic. So we're all sitting there in silence cleaning our weapons, and suddenly it just goes of like a full burst automatic round of live ammunition, and that was the end. That was the end of his career, pretty much. But he was that guy that was doing that thing over and over again, and now I deeply regret mentioning his name. His real, although the chances of him still being alive at this point are very, very low.
You didn't until right then when you just said it. We'd all believed that was still a fake name.
Yeah,
and then you said that was his name as a joke.
Yeah. I deeply regret telling that story. But I think where we were at was the difference, Matt, I think, between just perception. And I would be so scared moving to the US. But I guess there's all different areas, isn't there? So if I come live with you, I don't definitely need to buy a gun.
No, you definitely don't. Not only do you not need to buy a gun, it's actually difficult to own a gun in New York City. You have to apply for it, get approved by the police for it. You have to get licensed for it. It's not as easy as just going down to your local Walmart, which you can go some places to the Walmart and just, buy the gun and then come back a day later and pick it up, because there's watch lists and stuff like that they have to run your name by before they can actually let you leave. Unless you buy it at a gun show. If you go to a gun show, last time I checked, you could just buy it and walk out of there. And that's like one of those loophole things that people like to complain about here.
Well, Chris, that's where you go for your gun then. Go to the gun show.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like Matt, but I spent, a week with you guys in New York, and nobody held us at gunpoint in that week.
Barely got shot at, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, maybe like one went by the bar we were drinking at, but it's not like it was aimed at us.
Exactly.
Stuart says, promoted into the tank regiment was that man. I love the tankies. I've had many arguments with tank regiment people. Honestly, they will insist to you that a tank is better than a fighter bomber. They will. They will insist a tank is better than a fighter bomber.
Are they not?
I'd like for them to meet my friend, the A-10 Warthog.
So I got into a mess there because I was suddenly like, oh man, I definitely shouldn't have mentioned David Brown's name. But the way I was going was, you were saying that on the range people were unsafe. So this lad was there again on the range. We're firing at targets, obviously. So we're shooting at the targets. The targets fall when they hit. They come back up. It's all good fun. It's all fun. And then a rabbit goes across the range. Now, our training sergeant on that exercise was a vegan. He was an animal lover, really like vocal and active about it. Hey, and I'm not being veganist. Some of my panelists are vegan. But this rabbit started hopping across the range, and the panic in his voice. He was like, "Stop! No, nobody shoots that rabbit!" But his body was running straight to this lad who may or may not be called Dave Brown, and like specifically grabbed his weapon. It's like, no! But that was fun. But honestly, you speak to everyone afterwards, everyone was tempted by the moving target.
Yeah, it's like the guy collecting golf balls on the range.
Yes. Exactly. You have to go him. So we brought this up talking about the dueling people, and we were asking what weapon would be your choice of weapon. But I think the most interesting stat from that story, Matt, was he had 20 duels and only 14 fatalities. So what happens in those duels what happened in those 6? Like, did they shoot him in the shoulder?
May I have a
yes,
stab at answering this one,
Yeah, sure.
Trumpets? I'm sorry to interrupt, but perhaps anyone who has seen the musical Hamilton will know that if he's truly a man of honor, he will aim his pistol towards the sky. And I really wish I remembered the specific lyric at this time.
Are you sure you're not confusing this with Bridgerton season 2 on its way, by the way?
No, do you know what? I was watching Bridgerton and thinking, they took that out of Hamilton.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I haven't seen Hamilton yet. I'm assuming both of you are going to yell at me and say I should see it.
Probably should.
Okay.
Yeah, you really should.
So sorry that the dueling will lead to another military story. I didn't mean to go down that route, but it is 10 years of my life. But the jeweler that admitted at the end that he didn't actually have an opinion on all the things that he was having a fight about. I was sorry if this is a Spanners heavy show, by the way, but I was stuck in the Falkland Islands, and we were there to do a job. I was a civilian actually at the time with a warrant officer, a sergeant major in the regiment. So me and him were working together. We'd finished what we were doing, but the air bridge is fragile, and our plane crashed in the Ascension Islands. We couldn't get home. We ended up being stuck for 5 extra days in the Falkland Islands. So that's that phone call. I can't come home. I've got to stay here and drink with my friend for the next 5 days. There's nothing I can do. Unfortunately, the year before, I had also been involved in a plane crash in the Ascension Islands and had been stuck in basically a paradise with a ton of beer for 2 days. So I've used this excuse before. The plane landed so hard it broke, and they had to get replacements in. I spent 2 days in the baking sun with endless streams of Budweiser. So me and him got just trashed every night in the sergeant's mess. We were playing pool, and in one night we got in a 3-hour row about ironing. So he was basically saying that he was pointing out people in the sergeant's mess whose kit wasn't ironed well enough, not enough creases. I won't do the Irish accent.
Wait. Sorry. Wasn't ironed enough. It didn't have enough creases.
Yes. So that didn't have like a sharp crease from the shoulder to the
I
elbow.
see.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
No, you're thinking of bad creases.
Yeah,
No,
bad
no.
creases. No, you want the plaits, as it were. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I then got on my high horse about how it was environmentally unfriendly and unnecessarily and didn't make any difference. This turned into a 3-hour row over snooker and whiskey. And then in the morning, it was a bit awkward because one of us stormed off, I can't remember who, in the middle of the night.
Was it you?
Literally down a mile-long corridor. That was my strop. And then in the morning, I was like, oh, is this awkward? He's like, oh, no. He's like, I won't do the Irish accent, sorry. He's like, no, I didn't even have an opinion. I just wanted a row. And he just fully admitted that. He said, I just wanted a row. I didn't care. But, that's what Doomscrolling's all about, Matt.
It really is.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes you're just there for the fight.
All right. Well, tell me the fight you've just had with your wife lately.
Well, it's not so much a fight. It's the exact opposite. She's back to work.
Yes, thankfully. Finally.
And not only is she back to work, but there's another project she's consulting on now. And our kid's in the midst of trying to get into colleges and apply. So it's all I'll just say there's a lot going on right now. And she is one of these people who does love to worry. And what I've realized is we've reached the point of information that I now have to be very careful about the news items that I feed her. Because if I feed her the wrong one, she's going right over the edge. In fact, she tweeted to me. She said,
Mm.
we're all about, just about everyone I know is a snack getting stuck in a vending machine away from total collapse.
Okay, so I mean, you and your wife are definitely like when we talk about doom scrolling. Not only do you do that, but you tag each other on Twitter to like feed the doom scroll. It's like, oh Matt, in case you were happy today, check this terrible thing out at MattPT55.
Yes. And so I've had to be careful both at
Mm.
home and on Twitter about, like I saw the other day that Aladdin had to close down because they had a breakthrough case. And I'm like, no way am I telling her that. I know she'll find out eventually. But, and this all started because my daughter is taking environmental science. And we started talking about global warming and climate change and sort of like how lots of things are not being done correctly right now. And she literally just quietly got up and left the room. I was like, okay, all right. I swear we'll have these arguments somewhere else from now on. Sorry, didn't mean to send you over the precipice there.
Yeah, and so you have to be really careful of stressing her out because both you and your wife and me and everyone listening to this, we are vulnerable to that. Something kicks you off and triggers you. And I mean, Chris is also, and your heart rate spikes and you get angry.
So I put my fist through a wall because
When?
so this was a few years ago. I was working at
okay.
the shop. I
Mhm.
picked up a box. The bottom of the box fell through. Everything inside it fell out, and I just went, God damn it! And I was so unhappy. I found the nearest wall and put my fist straight
Was it like
through
a
it.
plasterboard wall? So
I
like,
didn't. Yeah. It was a really soft wall, so I'm not that
no,
strong.
it wasn't
But
like a
I
hot one.
looked at it, not realizing that like I could have just like flicked it and it would have crumbled. And immediately regretted it. Like, what a stupid thing to do. And I'm looking at the wall going, don't do it. And you do it, and I think you have to explain that one.
No, it happens. EJ just said how Ricardo of you in the live chat room.
Yeah.
How Ricardo
Yeah,
of you.
that moment when he just like let go in the pit lane. I can't remember what race it was, but I empathized with that deeply.
The day I was moving out of a flat, and I was moving out of that flat because I'd broken up with my girlfriend who had just all but moved in. She'd all but moved in. We'd had a very messy breakup. She threw every kitchen utensil in the kitchen at me. She was not happy. And I held my temper. And then as she was going, she made some comment which just triggers you. It got to the core of me. And she was out the front door and I just closed the kitchen door behind me. So this is the day I have to hand over the flat. Swung the kitchen door behind me. The door handle went through the wall. And I go, oh.
No.
So you're thinking about your deposit, and you're thinking about the deposit. You're disappointed that you've lost control because that's what's happened. You've lost control. And then I had to go to a DIY shop and repair a plaster wall. I'd never done it before, and it was terrible. And I ended up. I hope there was not been a fire there since. Stuffing newspaper behind the wall to fill it. And then I put a piece of cardboard, and then I did my plaster over the top. I was 23. It's not a good, probably not the best repair.
Can I just say, for the record, that I'm well beyond wall punching now? Like I've only ever done it once in my life, and I would not do it again. Especially because I know how stupid it was.
Is that
but also
is that
like,
the thing that turned you neutral? Because famously on Missed Apex, you never really seemed to give an opinion. Is that what you lost your temper one time and you went, no more, Chris. You will never again be triggered by a thing.
No, I still get angry at things, as we'll find out later today on this show.
Now, let's do it now. I do appreciate that, Matt. We will explore that topic, I think, in deeper depth. At some point, I want to know all the times that you and your wife end up triggering each other, because that is core doom scrolling content. But Chris, you're our guest, and I want to talk to you. I like you.
Oh, is it? We're doing this now?
No, it's not a like you. But me and Matt, we both like you, and I think like this is really patronising because we're not that much older than you. Well, Matt is, but you're like 20. Well, you're like 24.
Yeah, I'm 24.
Yeah,
It's a considerable age gap.
Matt's 55.
Yep.
I mean, I'm 41. when you started working with us and doing stuff with us on Missed Apex, you were 17 or 18, I think.
Yeah,
Fairly
something
young.
like that.
So we feel quite protective over you. We are, I think, Matt, is it fair to say we're emotionally invested in his life?
Yeah, no, I think that's and not just us. I mean, my wife is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm her gay adopted son,
Correct.
even though I'm not gay. But I fit the bill. So
No, that's fine. You're in the murky world of being bisexual, which 40-year-olds and above don't understand. We get very angry with you young people's life choices. But you're in that flush of life before settling down. So people generally, they go out and have fun. And then around 25, 26, 27, they go, oh man, nightclubs suck. And then whoever they're dating at the time, they end up marrying and having kids with. And then they go, oh yeah, she was the one. He was the one. We were destined to be together. No, you were just bored of nightclubs. Matt, it's so true.
Yeah.
Whenever I speak to people, I say, hands up in here who happened to settle down around 26.
Yeah, no, it's definitely you start to come home from work and you're like, that couch looks like a lot more fun than that nightclub does. But EJ says it's like 2.5 men the senior years.
Yeah, man, no, it is. Yeah, with our grown up adopted son, Chris. But Chris, you are still very much in that social. You're single. That's not. I'm not outing you.
It's just a fact.
That's just a fact. If you like what you see on the live stream, Chris at missedapex.net. No, that's not really an email. But I don't understand the single world right now because you and I were talking and you're talking about being single. I'm like, just use one of the apps. Use one of the typey apps where you just post a picture.
Oh yeah, they're just horrible though, aren't they? They just let me do the instant gratification thing that actually doesn't give me any gratification at all because I'm literally swiping people out of my life based on 3 seconds of looking at your first photo, whatever that happens to be. It's horrible. I hate it.
I think most people definitely judge potential future partners by looks initially, and on a photo that's worse. When I was 24, 25, there was a site called Hot or Not. Does that still exist?
The original.
I don't know, Hot or Not. So you would post a picture of yourself, and people would rate you based on that photo.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's still around in some guys.
I posted a photo of me where I was like, oh my God, that is a representative photo of me. I am looking fit. That is amazing. And lo and behold, I got an average rating of 8. My friend got really upset with that. So he posted an alternate photo that he had taken on a nightclub, and I got an average rating of 4. And he was like, ha, see? And he would always get upset at me because he was like, you post photos that are not representative of how ugly you are.
Well, what is Instagram?
Well, this is
exactly the same thing. And the one thing I really hate about the dating apps in general is that we all know how to cheat the system. Now we all know how to take a photo that makes us look better than we actually are. We know about angles. We know about certain, we know which direction we're supposed to be looking at because there's 10,000 articles telling us how to do it.
Yeah.
Because Facebook knows that you're depressed because nobody likes your Instagram photos.
Yeah, look.
So it says, here's how to have better Instagram
for
photos.
the video people, I can go this side, not bendy nose. That side, quite bendy nose from being punched in the face quite a lot. And we can all game that. But generally, my social media rule now is post photos of me that are very average so that no one is disappointed when they see you. I argue with Brad Philpott, Matt, because his Facebook profile photo is like peak Brad. I said, Brad, that is a really great photo, and you're not an ugly man. But people are expecting movie star looks when they see you, if they see that. So I don't disappoint people. And you just post pictures of Trumpets as your profile, which helps. Yeah,
that way it's just you get what you get and you don't get upset, as my daughter's kindergarten teacher used to say. But yeah, you can. There is the expectations game, and it can be played both direction.
Yeah. So I've got no experience of those dating apps. I'm sure Matt hasn't either. Briefly, I'm telling tales here. Nicola dumped me. We were together for a year, and she dumped me for 3 months.
Damn.
No,
That's a revelation. to
That's
just
cold.
idiot.
drop on.
She didn't know what she had. She came running. Literally, she did come back. So like, she was just like, "Oh, do you want to like hang out for a bit?" And so it worked out. It's fine. In that gap, and I have told her this, the Hot or Not launched a if you paid a subscription, you could then match with people. So I think that might have been like the first Instagram. So I did have a couple of dates off of that, and it was quite like, oh, that's easy.
Wow.
You've looked at a picture of each other, you meet up, and then there's a, oh, are they gonna look awful? Was it a lie? And you go, yes, it was a lie, but not that much. This is broadly fine.
So is that canon now? That's part of Missed Apex lore.
That's it's part of Missed Apex lore. Yeah, I've never made that
Okay.
public before because you don't
Wow.
want to say my eventual wife at one point went,
Yeah.
nah.
Maybe not.
She was like, nah. But we were younger, and yeah, she was like really focused on her career, and I wasn't, because I was just a young idiot. I didn't. What was I doing at the time? I think I might have been. I was either driving trucks or doing electrical testing. Certainly no real direction and motivation, whereas she was being driven to move to different places. But anyway, a tale for another time. But that was my question to you, Chris.
Yeah.
Why not just use an app?
Yeah, I don't like them.
No?
Call me old-fashioned. I like meeting people in person. There's a line from How I Met Your Mother that I like, which is that I'm not some top 40 chart song that's easily digestible and loved immediately. I require multiple listens, like Stairway to Heaven.
So this is just, I don't take pictures well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. Look at my Instagram. You will see every single photo trope, like every trick is there, and you'll be able to just tell looking at my Instagram. But the point of it is I like meeting people in person instead. I think it's more fun.
Okay, and whilst you're in that single world, you are facing a problem which, for you, might feel like uniquely annoying, but actually I resonated with quite a lot at your age, which is you've had some time off, but you're struggling to plan stuff.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I'm really glad that I got a chance to talk about this on the show because it's cheaper than therapy.
Yeah.
So I had 2 weeks off work.
Oh my God, you just described my career.
I had to, yeah, so I got 2 weeks off work, which I'm almost halfway through now. I haven't done anything, which is just madly depressing. I've done this show. I did the Missed Apex show.
Yeah.
I've done some laundry. It's because in my line of work,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to actually try and get a decent amount of time off, especially because
your time off is at the weekend, is not at the weekends.
Exactly,
yeah.
yes, because I work a lot of weekends, and that is just a reality of working in motorsport. Racing happens at weekends. That's you sign up for that. And then the bigger events like Le Mans, for example, last an entire week or a week and a half. So it is hard to try and find time off. And then when you do have that time off, of course, all your other friends that they're at work, or if on the off chance they all happen to have some time off as well, they're all only free at the same time.
Yeah.
So then I have to pick which group of friends am I going to spend my one day with.
Who did
And
you
then
pick? Who did you pick?
Oh, so well, I'm seeing Catman next week,
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
which is nice, and then hopefully some other people next. But it's all been pushed back a week because I spent this week trying to organize it.
Yeah, it's rubbish when you're that age and you're trying to kind of hook stuff up, because you put so much pressure on your time off that if you can't organize it perfectly, you feel like you've missed out.
Well, I'm quite proud of this weekend, right? Because my friend has just bought a house. He's my age and he's bought a house.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So a guy I went to school with, a group of friends that I'm still, friends with from school. And we're all going to go down there this weekend, do like his housewarming and have a bit of a catch up because obviously we don't see each other.
Okay, so you're going to a party at the weekend. That's good news.
Pretty much. But
Nice.
then what happened? What happened this week? Fuel crisis. Just my luck. I don't want this to be all like, oh, woe be unto me or whatever. I'm still going.
That's
But,
fine. Why not just queue up for fuel?
oh, well, I don't actually know what it's like I don't know what it's like.
because you don't have a driving license. But is the problem that your friends might not be able to attend because they can't get fuel? Is that the
Well, maybe we were all going to go down together. I think the worst case scenario is we jump on the train together. But like, it's just like it's one of those hurdles, you know.
Mm.
It's like you've been planning this thing, and then like, oh no, life is happening.
So to make you feel better, you are not alone. This is not like a modern problem. I'm sure me and Matt can empathise with that. I do remember, like, even like army weekends, you feel like, oh, I'm on guard all night. I'm working all day. I'm fighting massive people in mud, and then it gets to Friday, and you go, oh, brilliant. What's the plans, lads? Oh no, like I'm off to my Auntie Sue's wedding. We're gonna punch each other in the face. Like, oh, it's gonna be fantastic. Oh, you should come up north. I'm like, no, I don't want to be punched up in the face up north. And you go, oh, actually, it's really hard to make plans because your friends are far away. And, you know, Matt, you're the same. You went to, you know, trumpet school, were taken away from people, and then suddenly you get time off and you go, and then you feel like you've wasted it, and that's the killer.
Yeah, and it's even worse if you have a limited budget. Like there was a period of time where all I could do was go out once a week and drink 2 beers. That's literally all I could afford.
Man.
And that was like, oh man, when you're just sitting around and you can't play your trumpet anymore because you already played 8 hours that day, and you don't have a TV because that's expensive, and you're just like, man, I got like nothing going on here. Yeah, those times can be painful.
My issue as well is that I've never taken 2 weeks off work, or not this job anyway. I think the last time I didn't do work for 2 weeks was between jobs. So this is an unusual amount of time that I have to try and like fill, and not seeing people that I already don't see in that time.
Yeah,
it's just.
I get that, and I get the urge to be social. I do, but there is also the option to just not do anything and enjoy not doing anything.
Oh, well, I do that, you know, on the regs. Anyway,
just this morning,
you get your one day off.
Just this morning, I forced myself to watch a film, and I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch. And I watched like the worst film. It was Spider-Man and the Star Wars lady.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
What?
Which Spider-Man movie?
Spider-Man, the latest one, Tom Holland.
Okay, right.
The good one.
I was going to say, if you were talking about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, and you were saying, oh, it's rubbish.
No. You know, the Spider-Man, the English one, the Tom Holland guy.
Okay, good, because I haven't even seen that.
So that he's in this planet, and they are colonists. So it's basically a Western, but on a space planet. You know how like everything's a Western?
Oh, so this wasn't actually a Spider-Man movie?
No, I'm saying it's Spider-Man, the guy, Spider-Man.
Right, okay. I know which movie you're talking about.
Tom Holland, yeah. But he's always all like American, isn't he? But he was born on a faraway space planet. Then Star Wars lady, the one.
Ray, presumably.
Ray? Is that I don't know Star Wars, but yeah.
Ray Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know she ended up being a Skywalker. Is that how it ended?
Oh God, sorry.
Oh,
spoilers.
Well, no,
well, like,
if you haven't seen it yet, just watch it because it'll make sense then. It's not really a spoiler, but
is she actually like Luke's daughter? Or
no, but if I tell you that, then it will become a spoiler. No, biologically, no. She chooses the name Skywalker. Anyway.
Okay, that's fine. I've actually seen all those films, but none of them went in. I was just like, oh, I don't care. I liked Rogue One. Oh, that was the best one. That was
the
wicked.
best. No, I agree with you. It is the best.
Even
Star Wars
though
movie.
It was a rip-off of Halo Reach
and Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, all right, yeah,
the first scene anyway.
Yeah, and I also like the Solo one with Childish Gambino.
That one was okay.
Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, what was my point?
That was the problem with it. It was fine.
We've lost Matt, and Matt needs to run away to go and do another stream with Science Andy in a second. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, so they're stranded on a planet. And then, but it's a planet where all male thoughts are said out loud.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, the concept was good. The film was fairly watchable. I forced myself to watch it because I was like, you must take time off this morning. But it didn't make any sense. But also, it's nightmarish. that your thoughts would be expelled. In
Yeah.
fact, I was once hungover after a wedding in Enniskillen in Northern Ireland, and I was just thinking the dumbest things. We were so drunk. Irish wedding. It was an Irish wedding where it was half Irish Catholics and half squaddies and squaddies families, which was if you don't understand that situation, we definitely should have all died. We didn't. It was fun. We were drinking till 4 a.m. Hungover. The next day, we were all eating some fast food, and it went silent. And the thought occurred to me, which I shared, is: do you ever worry that everybody else is telepathic except you when it goes quiet? So, like, why has it gone quiet? They're all talking telepathically about the weird things I'm thinking, and that was the concept of that movie.
I didn't.
Until now.
Yeah, now I do.
Now I do. But I couldn't. As soon as I said it, everyone else went. Because if everyone could hear your thoughts out loud, no one would be friends with you.
Exactly. We all think awful, awful things, like really, truly
time.
terrible things all the time. And you don't say it because you're like, oh yeah, that's stupid. But that's what, like, when you think of like 1984 thought police and stuff like that, like, becomes really scary. Because imagine you just think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna murder this guy, but then you're like, oh no, I wasn't actually gonna do it.
So I think what we've learned here today is that we are all at our core terrible people who want to argue
100%.
with everyone, but some of us are able to curate that enough to be functioning members of society, Matt. I think that's the core lesson.
Yeah, it's all about using it for life fuel and not letting it own you, I guess.
Okay, well, we're at the end of the show. The challenge really isn't content here. The challenge is shutting up. And for anyone who appreciates that and wants to listen in, thank you very much. We will put a link in the show notes to share this show, or just tell your friends to search for Doomscrolling on YouTube and on the podcast app. And if your friend is called David Brown, don't bring this to his or hers attention. This was Doomscrolling. Please follow Chris at Chris on Racing on Twitter. Follow Matt at MattPT55. Follow me at Spanners Ready. I'm the best one. We'll try and hook something up for next Thursday. Until then, work hard, be kind, and have fun. This was Doomscrolling. All right, Matt's gone, so we can just keep talking about him, or we can...
Yeah, man. I mean, you've really made me want to go and watch Star Wars again now, so might do that.
They're terrible. Just watch Star Trek, it's fine.
Don't.
Oh,
See,
so
this is
bad.
the kind of thing that makes me think I want to kill you, and then makes everyone hear my thought, and then everyone looks at me.
Exactly. You're a terrible person, and it's only slightly social pressure that stops you murdering me.
I've never denied that.
And that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. We all think we're brilliant, but we're not. We're all rubbish.
Oh, I don't think that for one second. I know that I am worthless and just a waste of space and air.
At least 3 people in the live chat think that we're worth it. So I think that's a good time to get out of it.
Please, I'm thinking about becoming a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed my TED Talk, then please subscribe.
It's not the best podcast concept in the world, is it? Let's admit we're terrible and all feel absolutely shocking about ourselves. Bye, everyone.